The way that we have our switch set up right now is a little bit rudimentary, and it's definitely not what I would recommend longer term. Right now we're accessing the line renderer and turning that on, and we really want our laser to deal with all of that. The laser should turn its visuals on and off, deal with damaging things and all of that stuff. So what we're going to do is move some of the functionality from our laser switch over to the laser, make that thing a lot more intelligent, and add a little bit of extra intelligence to our laser switch. Let's start by going to the laser and adding a new script. We're going to go to our scripts folder, right click and choose create and C# script, and then give this a name of laser with a capital L. I'll go assign that to our laser as soon as the code editor does its whole thing, pops up, and then I minimize it. And then what we're going to do is make this laser script deal with turning that on and off, and then, of course, blowing things up. And like I said, we're going to modify what we call from the laser switch. So let's open up our laser script. And let's first get a reference to our line renderer. We'll do that in an awake, and I'm going to delete the start and update methods because I'm not sure if we're going to use them yet. Well, I know if we're going to use them, but I don't want to spoil it yet. So we're going to start with an awake. And in awake, we'll say sprite renderer, or line renderer, not sprite renderer, equals get component line renderer. That should get us our line renderer. We'll hit Alt Enter on the name up here and generate a field for it. And I'm going to go delete both of these private keywords. I'll just go to the beginning and hit Control Delete and Control Delete to delete out those private keywords. So now I've got my line renderer here, and I want to add a method to my laser to toggle it on and off that will just for now start by disabling and enabling the line renderer. So let's add a public void toggle that takes in a bool, which will be the on or off state. And I'm going to call this state. Now, if the state is true, we're going to set the line renderer to enabled. And if the state is false, we're going to set the line renderer to disabled. And to do that, we'll just say line renderer dot enabled equals state. I don't have to add an else or an if else or any of that. I can just set it to true or false based on what I pass in here. I'm going to save this off, and then we're going to go into our Unity editor and then go modify those references in our laser switch. So on the laser switch, instead of calling line renderer.enabled, we're going to call laser.toggle, which is right here off at the bottom of the screen. So you might not have seen it. Let's collapse these two and we'll select it down here for the second one, laser and toggle. So it'll toggle on and toggle off. I'm going to save, press play, and then I should expect to be able to run over there and get exactly the same functionality. Let's go see if that's the case. So I run over, it turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off. Now I should probably have my laser turn off by default. So I'm going to go back into the laser script, and inside of our awake method, we'll just say toggle false to just turn our laser off. Now you might wonder why I wouldn't just turn the line renderer off. It's because in toggle we're going to end up doing quite a bit more, or at least a little bit more, to determine whether or not we should be updating and drawing a line renderer. So let's start by adding in a state or a permanent state. So instead of just keeping this state here and using it and then having it go away when we leave our method, let's turn this into a member variable or a field inside of our laser. So I'm going to say underscore is on equals state. We'll generate a field for that named is on. And I like this name for it because it makes it very obvious. If it's is on is true, then the thing is on. If it's off, then it's false. So very, very clear. I'm going to delete out that private keyword that we don't need and then save this out. Let's go back into our laser switch now because I want to take a look at a little performance issue and a little minor optimization that we can do that kind of matches what we've just done here with our is on. So in our laser, our turn off and turn on methods are actually getting called quite often. If I add a log, we can see just how often that's happening. Let's do that. Let's say debug.log, and here I'm just going to put in the word turn off and a semicolon, and then I'm going to select this line, copy it, paste it down here to turn on, and put in the word turn on. So now I can see how often these things are called. Let's go into Unity. We'll press play. We're going to run over there, turn the switch on, and turn it off again. I should expect my laser to be off by default because we added that code to the laser. Oh, there we go. It's off. And if I run over here, let's go to the console first, clear out our log completely, run over, And you'll see that, I had 17 entries. If I uncollapse, you'll see that it called turn on 17 times. If I go over here to the left, turn off got called a whole bunch of times as well. If I collapse, it looks like it's 27. The reason for that is every frame that we're in this trigger, we're running this code, the code right here on trigger stay. So we're checking the velocity and then calling turn on and turn off. This part is okay. Running this code to check to see if we're hitting something or we're in something is all right. The get component calls are slightly less than optimal, but it's not bad at all. The part that we probably should optimize is inside of our turn on and turn off methods. What we could do is, instead of invoking this off and toggling the sprite or changing the sprite multiple times when it's staying exactly the same, we can just say, hey, if we're already off, don't do anything. If we're already on, don't do anything. So let's do that by writing some code in our turn off first. First, I think I'll get rid of the private keyword here and that private keyword there. We'll get rid of all these extra privates. And then inside of turn off, we'll say if underscore is on, and then I'm going to let it autocomplete and add my braces. I'll put the closing brace at the end of my big long statement. So if it is on, then we want to call the off invoke, turn the sprite to left or off, and then write off our debug log. But we also want to say is on equals false. Now I need to generate a field for is on. It looks like it automatically generated it, but if it didn't generate for you, you can just generate a field, Alt Enter, and you should get a private bool right up here. Or you can scroll up and just go type it, put it right below your sprite renderer, and remove that keyword, that private keyword again. Now in the turn on method, we'll do the exact opposite. So I'll just copy lines 38 and 39, paste them right here, and then add in a closing brace, and we'll say if is on is equal to false. Double equals false to make sure that it's not true. So if it's not on, then we'll turn it on. So on the next line, we'll say is on is equal to true. We'll toggle it on and off. Now, if we go into Unity, we should see that this method is on and is off only gets called once. It won't toggle back and forth, or it won't retoggle the same thing multiple times, spam out that log, and then be trying to do things to our laser. So let's go check that out. So go over, it turns on, go over, it turns off, and now I'm getting a single entry, and I can see that laser showing up and toggling its visibility there. So I'm going to stop playing. We're going to go into Plastic, and we're going to save our changes or commit our changes to the laser. So laser script created to hold laser functionality and switch optimized. And we'll check that in.